There are truths that slip between the cracks of imperial decree, carried not by parchment or vox, but by the memory of oaths that have never been broken. If one listens to the haunted spaces of the galaxy, the ruins of shrines abandoned to war, the hulls of derelict ships drifting nameless in the void, there is a current that persists. It hums in the marrow of those who walk its path, a vow older than most empires, and yet renewed with every sword raised in the Emperor's name. The Imperium is fractured. The cicatrix maledictum scars the heavens like a wound across creation, dividing man into sanctuaries of light and oceans of shadow. Across that gulf, signals die, fleets vanish, and worlds crumble. Yet amid that cosmic fracture, a single oath holds like iron. Its bearers are never still. They march without end, as though time itself is only the measure of distance between wars. One may ask, what compels such relentlessness? How does a brotherhood sustain itself when the galaxy itself seeks to devour them? The answers are veiled for now. What can be said is this: the vow remains, and the stars have not yet silenced it. The birth of the Great Rift did not find the Black Templars idle. Their eternal crusade had never paused, yet when the sky itself tore open and the Imperium cried out, the zeal of Dawn's heirs ignited anew. High Marshal Helbrecht, scarred by centuries of campaigns, gathered the banners of the Armageddon Crusade. This host, heavy with relics, sword brethren, and veterans marked by 100 purges, became the chapter's blade thrust into the heart of the storm. Upon the decks of the Eternal Crusader, relic shrines shone with the light of consecrated oils. Chaplains thundered litanies over newly sworn Primaris brethren, binding them to traditions older than their gene seeds awakening. Reclusiarch Grimaldus, survivor of Hell's Reach and living reliquary of sacrifice, turned every sermon into a forge, hammering faith until it blazed. And Helbrecht, carrying visions he swore came by the Emperor's will, directed the crusade once more toward Armageddon. There, amidst hive cities that had tasted war too many times to count, a new enemy surged. Khorne's blood hosts clawed at reality itself, seeking to drown the system in a tide of slaughter. Helbrecht did not march alone. The space wolves howled across the wastes, and the Grey Knights performed sacred rites upon the fire wastes, striving to seal tears in the veil. Even Angron himself came, leading a fleet of world eaters that turned the skies into rivers of fire. Through the Eumendes Bridge, through Thoradis, through wastes burning with warp taint, Helbrecht pressed on. Armageddon, ever cursed, became once more a theatre where the Emperors chosen proved their mettle. The rekindling of war here was no isolated act. Other crusades, scattered across the galaxy, answered the same silent summons. Their names carved new legends, their deeds carrying the same fire Sigismund lit upon Terra 10 millennia past. From the Eye of Terror to the galactic core, from Chalnath's restless sectors to the Nephilim frontiers, the banners of the Black Templars spread like sparks cast from the same burning pyre. Marshal Gaidon's Heimdall Crusade fought as the spine of Battle Group Erastus, hammering alongside Guilliman's Indomitus Crusade. Their tanks steamed with sacred oils, hulls layered in oath scrolls, their advance echoing like thunder. Against Iron Warrior's corruption on a veiled forge moon, they broke the traitor's works with such ferocity that even the sisters' dialogues who warned them spoke of the battle as a hymn of steel. The Heimdall Crusade sees Guilliman not merely as Primarch, but as living instrument of the Emperor's will, and their every strike bears that conviction. Marshal Gorvian Dainir's Morsus Crusade waged a darker path. Adorned with reliquaries of bone, their armour rattling with the remains of saints and martyrs, they became a host of ossuaries in motion. Servo skulls bobbed above their ranks, harvesting new relics from the slain. Allied with Puritan inquisitors, they pushed coreward with the Ordo Hereticus, purging Xenos enclaves, pirate havens, and even wayward Imperial outposts. To some they became saviours, to others, instruments of dread. Dainir himself invited condemnation by acting as executioner of inquisitorial rivalries, claiming that division itself was heresy worthy of the flame. Marshal Maugha's Kydomian crusade struck through the Chalnath expanse, a scourge feared as much as it was praised. Heavy with neophytes, trained under brutal standards, and tested longer than in any other host, Maugha forged his crusade into a war school where survival was the only graduation. Populations found their faint faith rekindled or extinguished. Those who faltered were made examples, executed or driven into extinction. Those who clung to hope were reaped as recruits, reforged as fresh zealots. The Kydomian crusade left behind not merely freed worlds but indoctrinated hives of worshippers, their survival purchased in fire. Marshal Holger's Purgus crusade bled itself upon the Vatrica subsector, breaking Necron dominions through dolmen gates unearthed in shattered fanes. Their wars became labyrinthine, fought across both worlds and the hidden arteries that bound them. For every Necron host annihilated, another stirred, yet Holger pressed on, his warriors battering the tomb legions until even their soulless ranks faltered. Ecclesiarchal followers of St. Bastiphus marched at their side, overseeing the destruction of alien temples, declaring each broken gate a holy triumph. The Borvasta crusade struck against the anomaly to the galactic south of Nephilim. Eldari raiders, clad in motley garb of 1,000 hues, descended upon Imperial cities. The Templars responded with purifying flame. Entire districts burned as they hunted the witches through ash and ruin. At last, the final Xeno-seer was cornered and drowned in consecrated fire, the city around it collapsing in pyres. To the survivors, the Borvasta crusade became both salvation and terror incarnate. Each of these crusades bore a different character. Bone-laden reliquary hosts, armoured hammer blows, merciless training grounds, void-born purges, but each was the same vow given form. Each pressed outward, never lingering, never content with what had been won. For to halt is to betray, and betrayal is the one crime for which no penance suffices. Across these crusades the pattern was clear. The galaxy itself had become their enemy. On Armageddon, the Black Templars faced Angron and his World Eaters, every clash a storm of blood and iron. In Chalnath, they extinguished Doommongers and raised entire generations into zealous service. In the Vatrica subsector, they carved through Necron tombs like miners digging through the bones of the galaxy itself. In the Nephilim frontiers, they turned Eldari witchcraft into ash. Near the Eye, their armoured spearheads hammered chaos fortresses until traitors broke like glass. And in the galactic core, they scoured strongholds under inquisitorial sanction, burning even those who once named themselves allies. Chaos, Xenos, heretic, mutant, all were consumed in their path. The Imperium staggers beneath the weight of countless wars, yet wherever the banners of the Black Templars rise, the message resounds. Faith is not dependent on circumstance. Faith advances. Faith carves through the impossible until only ruins remain. It is said some of their fleets vanish into the rift, swallowed by time itself, only to emerge decades later with records filled with visions and terrors beyond telling. To the Templars, such losses are not defeats, they are offerings. Even annihilation becomes fuel for the oath. Thus the eternal crusade continues, not toward a final victory, for the galaxy holds none. Not toward a peace, for peace is an illusion long dead. It continues because the vow demands it. Because Sigismund's oath, sworn before the Emperor himself, still burns like a star that no rift can eclipse. And so long as one Black Templar draws breath, the vow is renewed. Canon reveals 6 named crusades in motion: Helbrecht's Armageddon host, Gaidon's Heimdall, Denia's Morsus, Maugha's Kydomian, Holger's Purgus, and the Borvasta. Each bears a distinct identity, yet all surge from the same wellspring, the eternal crusade. Why does this matter? Because in the age of Indomitus, the Imperium no longer wages war from bastions of strength. It clings to survival, patching wounds faster than they can close. The Black Templars offer no grand strategy. They offer proof. Proof that the oath still binds, that the will to strike does not falter. Where Guilliman leads through order, they lead through zeal. Where the Administratum counts its losses, they count only the blows still left to strike. Some within the Imperium whisper that their excesses court ruin, that to burn cities in the name of purity is to squander the very lives they claim to defend. Yet even these whispers cannot drown the truth that follows in their wake. Wherever the Black Templars march, the Imperium endures. Whether through fear, through inspiration, or through blood, they leave behind something stronger than what they found. My opinion, humble as one who has studied their wars across ages, is that the Black Templars embody both the Imperium's peril and its hope. They are reckless, merciless, sometimes blasphemous in their zeal. And yet, without such fury, how would the Imperium survive this age at all? Their wars prove one thing. The Emperor's dream of dominion still breathes, not in halls of governance, but in the roar of chainswords and the thunder of oaths shouted into the dark.